Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Life Health Show. And today I have a special guest on, a return guest. It's Brian Clement from Hippocrates Health Institute. Well, when I was sick as a young man, I went to this place called the Hippocrates Health Institute in West Palm Beach, Florida, and I learned all about eating healthy and living healthy and overcoming my illness. Now, in the next several episodes, I'm going to show you 4 parts where we're going to talk about 4 particular diseases and how to overcome them. In general, I want to say with a living foods diet, but I'm just going to say how to overcome them in general because this is the answer to these illnesses. And the first one we're going to speak about is inflammatory bowel disease, ulcerative colitis, and Crohn's disease, the very thing I suffered from. And the person that helped me to understand health and get better from inflammatory bowel disease is on the show today, Brian Clement. This man literally gave me information to save my life, and I'm still applying it to my life to this day, 30 years later, and I'm still feeling amazing, and the Hippocrates Health Institute program is wonderful. So this is Brian Clement from the Hippocrates Health Institute. If you want to contact or learn more about the Hippocrates Health Institute, contact me. I'm going to put my contact information below, and I can give you all the information you need about this place. I highly recommend everyone go there, whether you're looking to cure a disease or just go there to prevent a disease. It's excellent. So this is Brian Clement and I talking about ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. And then in the next couple of videos, we'll present 3 other popular diseases that many people suffer from. So here we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Life Health Show. This is Brian Clement. We're back at Hippocrates Health Institute, where it all started for me 30 years ago. I had a disease called inflammatory bowel disease, also ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease is what it's known as. And Brian sat me down and showed me some books, introduced me to some people, and showed me the program, and I haven't looked back. And there's a lot of challenges that people are suffering from. And I want to talk about some of the popular ones today that Brian could address, because here at Hippocrates Health Institute, that's what they do. They pretty much will see anyone, healthy people, unhealthy people, but the majority of the people come here is a last resort, end of the line, doctors have given up on them. So the wise people come here before that, but this is how people end up here often. So I want to talk to Brian today about some of these common 4 of them specifically, disease that people suffer from. But Brian, can you just tell the audience about Hippocrates and the goal when it first started with Anna Wigmore and yourself and Victorious? Was it to cater to sick people, or was it made to help prevent, or both?
I would say that it was both, but the impetus for the Institute to open and create the field of holistic medicine, today called alternative medicine, complementary healthcare, and lifestyle medicine. We founded all of that back in 1956, was that Anne Wigmore, who was an immigrant from Eastern Europe and wasn't feeling well at 50 years old, being in Boston, went up to see the Harvard doctors, and within an hour they gave her very grim news. They said, "You're going to be dead within 90 days, 3 months." And went back home and employed what she learned from her grandmom, the village doctor. Remember, doctors were not pharmaceutical agents at that point. They were actually using their heart, God, spirituality, plants, and food. So she employed what she watched grandmom bring people back to life with, healed herself, and had enough drive and spiritual increment that in 1956 she opened up this institute. And we moved it here from Boston back in 1987, and shortly after we met at that point. So we've always had healthy people come. I was obviously healthy when I joined the team in 1975, but it was known and has chronically and consistently been known as a place where people with catastrophic disease comes and heals. Now, the difference between healthcare, be it natural healthcare, allopathic healthcare, and us, we don't believe we heal people because, the universe and God has a pretty good plan. You just have to figure it out and relax and go along with it. And that's what we've been doing. And because of that approach that Anne Wigmore started, and then the co-founder, Victorious, who healed himself, continued, in the 50s and 60s. We've had thousands, now I'll repeat again, tens of thousands of people come here, like Paul, who had hopelessness. As a matter of fact, today if you have Crohn's colitis, diverticulitis, no allopathic doctor anywhere in the world is going to tell you you're going to heal. They're going to tell you this is a chronic disease that inevitably, if you don't take care of it, will almost in every case become colon cancer. And that's what I've watched in my more than half century of work. So sure, we welcome everyone. As you know, superstar athletes come here now, and movie stars come here, and people that were given a month to live come here.
Absolutely. And I remember when I was sitting here the first day, I'll never forget what Brian just said. He told us all two things that stand out in my mind. Number one, he says, food doesn't heal us. The body heals itself when we let it do its the job it was supposed to do, and we stop interfering with the wrong food. That's what he told us. And there's so many people out there, what food can I eat for this, or what food can I eat for that? Give your body what it needs, and the body will do the rest. And what it needs is the food that they built this program about. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, I remember you always say, when people come to the buffet here, you have a bunch of sprouts and salads, and then you have a little bit of gourmet stuff at the end.
Yes.
And the directions for the Hippocrates diet is fill your plates up with the salad and the sprouts, and eat a little bit of the gourmet food.
That's right.
And about 99% of the people that come and do the opposite.
Exactly. You see,
they eat the gourmet.
olives and nut loaf.
Exactly. And even I did that for many years. Sure. And then I've learned that he was right. You know, the diet of sprouts and the leafy greens, the microgreens and the sprouts, on that alone, you could live and be perfectly fine. The gourmet stuff is just for your brain and socializing.
To pacify your addiction, really.
Exactly. I mean, but you can live on that fine, and that's where I've gotten to the point now. And it's not an easy challenge socially and mentally, but physically, it's absolutely the best way we could eat. Yeah. So I met Brian at a health food store. He was giving a lecture to a group from Hippocrates, and I stumbled upon him at a health food store. And I asked him some questions in the store, and he said, well, why don't you come out to the center and I'll talk to you. And I went to the bookstore and I saw books by Clement. I had something called inflammatory bowel disease, ulcerative colitis, which is also Crohn's disease. It's always misdiagnosed, going back and forth between the two. It's inflammation of the colon. Today I want to talk about 4 popular diseases that doctors don't have a cure for, but Hippocrates has found the answer. And the first one is inflammatory bowel disease. Now, I have to say this one's challenging because I still have a passion to help people with this, and that's, people call me all the time, you can't tell a person with an active stage of ulcerative colitis to eat the Hippocrates diet the way it's known. That's one of the most dangerous things you could do. So raw food isn't always the answer the way as it would be for a healthy person. There has to be some tweaks to it. So can you explain like how challenging it is for inflammatory bowel disease, the challenges of having a sore wound in your colon to eat the roughage that comes with the salads and things like this?
Well, let's describe to the listeners. Many of you know the words, but what is this? What causes the colon to be inflamed and not function and not have the adequate microorganisms, bacteria in there? It's really the forever chemicals, the plastics, pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, and the consumption of non-human foods. Now, there's no challenge in any serious nutritional scientist's mind to say to you that dairy from another species and flesh from an animal is not human. As a matter of fact, as we sit here and speak and you're listening to Paul and I, that's 6 out of 10 people on the planet who are flourishing and thriving with health compared to the other 40% are primarily eating plant-based diets. And we now, for 70 years, have observed in a clinical setting with our medical team what happens when you put people on it. So now, the challenge that Paul just spoke about, and I want to change the word dangerous, what you've been doing is dangerous, but we don't want to aggravate an inflamed colon by putting roughage in. Now, what's ironic about this is that you were built to eat nothing but roughage. But I never ate roughage a day in my life until I changed at about 20 years old. It was by mistake if I did. It certainly wasn't an intentional thing. So when you have this inflammation and your body's not used to taking things and breaking it down systematically with the cellulose, it takes time to become familiar. So we blend the food, we juice the food, we use certain therapeutic things like wheatgrass implants, and as we calm the intestinal tract and redevelop healthy immunity in there, then we can introduce slowly but surely, properly, the right foods.
And don't think you'll never be able to eat this way again or anything again, because when I was sick, that's the way I thought. And even here, I had to be careful with what I ate. But now today, 30 years later, you know, I have the option to eat, or I choose to eat the diet with all of the fiber, with all of the roughage, and there's no problems now because my colon is healed. The only thing I can't do and won't even attempt to do is go back to eating the stuff that created the problem. So people think that's a bad thing. They go, but you can't eat that. I don't want to eat that. That's what got me sick to begin with.
And let me emphasize what Paul says is correct. And don't think that we're heroic or we're special. It takes a long time, a commitment, and a lot of faith. You've got to go through a lot of difficulties, socially, psychologically, emotionally, and you just stay the course, and slowly but surely you come around. And so, you know, food is really something that is so incredibly important, but we don't put that at the top of the list.
And even though you will feel better immediately and show symptoms and signs of healing, what I have found is if you go the medical route is they'll give you a drug which will take away much of the pain immediately, but they're not addressing the situation, addressing the problem. But when you do this type of program, overall it might take longer to get rid of that pain and so on, but you're getting cured in the process, and that's a big difference. You have to be on this medication by doctors and their drugs to not feel the pain, but the issue is still there. When you're eating this way, you got to be patient. It took you many years to get sick, so you're not going to get healed overnight. But you have to trust the process and know it's been proven to work years after
Yeah, before
years.
we leave this subject, the sad part for us, it used to be pretty much young men, which you were, when you got the gastrointestinal
19.
Problem, and now it's children. So it went from 15, 19, 20, 25-year-old young men to now women as well. And now we're having 4 and 5 and 6-year-olds, as I had a month ago. I'm dealing with this disease because their parents now for at least 25 to 30 years have been eating these ungodly non-food substances.
And it's such a challenge because Brian and I often talk about the addiction of food, of any food. We're just so addicted to eating the foods we grew up on, and we want to continue eating those. And when you're told you have to make a diet change or else, I mean, the doctors told me at 19 years old I was a high risk for colon cancer. And then they said, but don't worry, we have a cure for colon cancer. We can cut out your colon. I didn't like that answer. But you're so addicted to food, and you've really got to pray and just be strong mentally because today I meet people that are so sick and I know the answer, but they can't let go of the food. And even people that are not sick. Somebody said to me recently, I interviewed, he said, when you have colitis, you have some motivation because if you don't eat well, it's coming back.
Yes.
But with other illnesses, they don't have that motivation as much. So it's sometimes they go back and they end up doing more damage. But I'm motivated, and I want to let people know that this does work because I used to say you can eat for 15 minutes a day and it might not taste the best, but feel great the rest of the day, or eat for 15 minutes the best tasting food will feel the worst. Exactly. But now Hippocrates Health Institute and many other people in the natural health field have made it where you could eat 15 minutes a day and it could taste great and you could feel great as well all day. And the food here is absolutely amazing, and it's different than raw food anywhere else because everywhere else is raw food, junk food.
Yes.
Here, Brian has standards in what's being served here. And that is the most impressive thing to me. And when I eat my recipes at home, I want to go to their website and get those recipes, because Chef Ken's amazing and the stuff here is amazing.
Yeah, before we leave the subject, I strongly encourage you, your loved ones, anyone you know, friends, co-workers that have these colorectal problems, to get a hold of Paul, because it's best not to go to the professional like me first, but go to somebody who has a heart, depth of history and experience, who's going to tell you straight what it is. So don't let people suffer unnecessarily.
And I live right near Hippocrates. If you're suffering from inflammatory bowel disease and you come here, I'll happy to meet you here and kind of hold your hand as you're going through this program, because I know the moral support is important, because it's a challenge, but it doesn't have to be. I'm a success story, and there's so many other people here that have went through this program that had the same experience. So remember, it's a little bit different if you have colitis or Crohn's. When you come here, you don't want to run and eat the great buffet, but they will cater to your needs.
Our medical team will make sure, docs will tell you what to do and what not to do and how to do it, and you'll enjoy it. And someday you'll look back and say, my God, that changed me forever.
And what I love to do, no matter what you're suffering from, is, and what I've been doing for the last 30 years since I've been here, is when you leave here, it creates another challenge of how are you going to do that at home? And that's where I specialize in, is letting people know how to make this part of your everyday life. My house looks like a sprout kitchen, and I just do it, and it's so simple when you have help guiding you, and it's not as complicated as you think it would be. So if you have any illnesses, you definitely want to look them up, contact me. All right, everybody, that was Brian Clement from the Hippocrates Health Institute talking about inflammatory bowel disease. I'm so grateful for the Hippocrates Health Institute and the program, because it transformed my life, and it can transform yours as well. Again, if you want information about Hippocrates Health Institute, contact me. I'm going to put my email below so you can personally contact me, and I will answer all your questions about this place, and I recommend people get there. This was Brian Clement talking about the inflammatory bowel disease and how to heal it with raw living foods. But I also asked about 3 more diseases, and in the next part of this 4-part series, we're going to look at 3 other popular diseases and hear from Brian why and how raw living foods and the Hippocrates Health Institute program is so good for these popular diseases. Until then, everybody, put your comments and questions below. If you want to contact me about Hippocrates, please do so at the information below as well. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a great day and a great raw life.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health.